Yesterday, we talked about the Utah Jazz creating a little bit of cap space and could eventually sign Josh Giddey to an offer sheet. Well, it seems like the talks between Josh Giddey and the Chicago Bulls may be worse than we thought, as Evan Sidri reports that the Chicago Bulls are standing firm on not offering Josh Giddey $30 million, and there is a possibility he could take the qualifying offer. We're going to talk about what that all means and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, hosted by Haize. Your number one spot for all things Chicago Bulls.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. So Evan Sidri, who's with Forbes, tweeted this out about an hour ago saying this: the Bulls are holding firm on not offering Josh Giddey $30 million annually in their contract extensions per KC Johnson. If Giddey's representatives continue to not like Chicago's offer, they could accept the $11 million qualifying offer to become an unrestricted free agent in 2026. So, as I have said before many times, is that if this thing continues to get to a point to where it starts getting toxic, right? And I've said that's the break glass in case of emergency option. If it gets to the point to where in these negotiations that it's seriously being considered to just sign the qualifying offer, that means that relationship is burned. I'm going to tell y'all that now. Anybody who thinks that there's still a chance that Josh Giddey would sign after taking the qualifying offer long-term after the end of the season, that's slim to none. I want to be clear on that. If it gets to the point where Josh Giddey does seriously take the qualifying offer, and that is a real thing that's on the table, then it's done. It's cooked. You might as well it's over with. You might as well get over it. It's done. It's cooked. Now, Evan Sidri is not a Chicago Bulls beat reporter. And as I said, always, even with Bulls beat reporters, take stuff with a grain of salt. This could be aggregation. It very well could be that. And we've seen that before where aggregates, they take a little part of something and they add their own thing to it to try to add validity to it. We have not heard anything from KC Johnson. We haven't heard anything from any Joe Cowley, any Chicago Bulls person that this is getting close to where Josh Giddey could take the qualifying offer. But KC Johnson did say that the Bulls are holding firm at not offering $30 million. And if that's the case, I mean, if that's the Bulls offer, that's the Bulls offer. I have my thoughts on it, but you are what you can negotiate. And that's what it comes down to. But it seems like this thing is getting to a place to where it could start getting more tension heavy than what it was in prior, what it was thought to be coming into this season. And so, again, take everything with a grain of salt. Don't take it as 100% as far as that's exactly what's going on, but it just adds more color. Now, I will say to this, none of the big restricted free agents have re-signed yet. And I think that just shows that the market, I really think that there are a lot of teams that are waiting for the first big restricted free agent to sign, and then you're just going to see a trickle-down effect at that point in time. But I would not be surprised at all if this thing does go for another couple of weeks. We could be looking at this going to the end of the month. Shay says, honestly, can you blame them? It's just like with Quentin Grimes. We have to see you do it for 482 game season, not for half of the season. 482 games, Shay, that's crazy. But no, you do need to. I can understand that. But even then, like, that's what you took when you decided to trade for him. Period. You traded for a player that you're not going to get even a full 2 years to look at. You have to base it off of one season they do in your uniform. Now, you're not basing it just off that. You're going to also look at what they did in other places and their skill set, things like that. But, that's what it comes down to. Delbert says, crack cocaine. Okay, all right. We need to get rid of Vooch. I don't know what that has to do with this topic. Well, so if Giddey walks and the Bulls traded Caruso and got essentially nothing in return, man, I get that it's not smart to pay Giddey and not paying him more than he's worth on the market, but at this point, I'd rather slightly overpay him rather than lose such a promising young guard. And there's going to be a lot of people that share that opinion with you, Michael, is that because I mean, 22 years old. He's still a very young player that, even with his time in OKC, he never really got to play his game. He had to fit in to what that team was. It wasn't like it was built around Josh Giddey's skill set or anything like that, right? So and then half of this season, you had Zach LaVine here. He was coming back from injury, all those type of things. So I get what you're getting at for sure. And, I think the Bulls are at a place right now where can you really afford to use some young, promising talent? I guess we'll see. Giddey going to leave us first chance he gets. Disrespectful by the Bulls. Watt Slice says, F it, just let him walk and let's suck. I mean, the Bulls aren't a team that we know that they're not involved in tanking. They don't want to tank, but we'll see what happens. Should I take that first round pick when the Spurs offer us because I believe that they wanted Giddey before they made that trade for Fox? I mean, that was the rumor, but I do think too, like, people didn't expect De'Aaron Fox to come available. If De'Aaron Fox came available, they're going to want De'Aaron Fox over Josh Giddey. Could they make a deal for 3 years at Giddey's price? Does it have to be for 5? No, it does not have to be a 5. It does not have to be for 5. And maybe that's I think everybody's looking at the sticking point being the money. The sticking point may be the money over years, right? So keep in mind, even a $30 million annual average salary is not going to be $30 million the first year. It's going to be more like 26, 27-ish the first year. But if you put less years on that, then maybe Giddey wants more up front. I don't know, right? I wouldn't pay him either. We ain't going nowhere with him. That's just such a stupid. You don't know if you're going anywhere with anybody until you build a team. There's no Bulls player on this team that you just say, oh, we're going somewhere just for one player. But it's also stupid to think that if you don't build a team right, that you can't. Like, there's no player in the NBA that can't. All that talk when people are like, you can never win with them in the starting lineup. No, that's not true. It depends on how you build the rest of the team. There's go and look at some of the starters that have been on championship level teams. It just depends on how you build out the rest of the team and if you can get a player that's better than them. Haize, if you were Mark Eversley and Acme, who would you trade for if you wanted to get rid of Vooch or Giddey? Listen, the Vooch thing, I'm just willing to get off of Vooch for assets is where I'm at now and focus on getting a center in the draft. Like, we're talking about a guard who could very well average a triple-double with slowly improving defense. I mean, and the thing that people don't talk about, Josh Giddey's defense on drives got a lot better. He's never going to be a lockdown defender. He doesn't have the foot speed. He doesn't have all that to be able to do that on. But you saw Josh Giddey really he bought in more defensively towards the end of the season. I wouldn't give Giddey $30 million a year either. Y'all have to understand the cap market. Yeah, but you have to understand the cap market has also changed. $30 million isn't what it used to be. I'm not saying that these are $30 million. If the Bulls gave $30 million to Giddey, Kobe, and Io, they still have over $80 million in cap space to still add to the team. $30 million now is 12.5% of the cap. That's comparable to, like, if we're talking about, like, during the Derrick Rose era, a $30 million contract now is more like a $19, $20 million contract then. So, yes, the cap market has changed, but the cap itself has changed too. That's why we got to talk about deals now on the percentage it is on the cap. So we trade away DeMar and even Zach, but we keep Vooch. Now we could lose Giddey. If that happens, the front office should at least take the hot seat. Here's the other aspect that I want to float out here with this. Keep in mind, it's posturing too. So even if Josh Giddey's people floated out saying, hey, we could take the qualifying offer, go report that could just be a negotiation tactic. It could very well be them using then the media to negotiate and put a little bit of pressure on the Bulls. That's all that could possibly be. It could be. Again, it could be a legitimate threat too, but you got to look at that part of it as well. If the offer is less than $27 million, I could see us trading Josh Giddey. It's going to be very difficult to trade a player, especially if he takes the qualifying offer, you can't trade him. So there you go on that one. The Jazz aren't trying to make an offer for Giddey. Jazz are trying to tank this. Well, keep in mind, and this is the part, again, tactics. You don't have to want to keep a player to sign them to an offer sheet. Josh, the owner of the Jazz is Australian. We don't know how the Jazz and maybe they have another player that has the same agent as Josh Giddey. You don't have to be looking to keep a player to sign them to an offer sheet. Teams sign players to offer sheets all the time as a favor because they know the team's likely to match it. But then on top of that, even people saying that the Jazz won't sign Giddey. So let me just be clear here. Bulls fans complain that Josh Giddey isn't that good, and then say by signing Josh Giddey, he can keep a team from tanking. So then you're saying he's good? Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that a player is bad and then say, oh, this tanking team won't sign this player because then they'll keep them from tanking. Which one is it? Which one is it? Lonzo Ball got $20 million annually and didn't have to have the full skill set Giddey has as a point guard. That's facts. That's facts. Jalen Suggs got $30 million. And again, it's not $30 million straight up. It's just the average value of that. If they let Giddey walk, I'm done, man. Just pay him $30 million. He's already proved he's worth it. I mean, you're going to have different opinions on that from different fans. Now that y'all mentioned it, if Giddey does leave, it would just make sense to trade Caruso for picks, potentially another AK. I mean, you're not wrong there. If you let Josh Giddey walk and you didn't take the picks for Alex Caruso, it's like, all right, what are you doing here? So, yeah, very good point there. Very astute point there, my boy. This is smart for the Bulls. Don't overpay for Josh Giddey, especially when you have Kobe and Ayo on the roster, and see what they can do with the roster with rookies coming into next year. Yeah, but the thing is, you don't have them on the roster past this year. You just don't. They're unrestricted free agents, and the Bulls can't even offer them the most money. They have their bird rights to re-sign them, but they go to unrestricted free agency. They can't even use the leverage of getting. So you could very well lose Josh Giddey and then turn around and lose Kobe and Ayo, or at least one of those guys in unrestricted free agency. That's a thing too there. Do Jalen Suggs contract first year over $30 million, so he's making $20 million range next year when you have to pay Kobe? Well, see, that's the thing. It's how you structure it, right? I think that's another thing too involved in that. Edward says, hopefully they can come around to $25 to $28 million annually. He's definitely worth. Oh, agree with that wholeheartedly. He's definitely worth that. What if Detroit didn't pay Cade? Most of us would be worse than Jordan as GMs because y'all don't like to pay anybody just because the team sucks, right? Well, that's fans. Fans always think they're good GMs. Then when they get to talking, you're like, That's why I don't really do. That's why one thing you don't see on this channel is mock trades, mock free agency. I ain't finna do all that shit. Giddey is the closest thing they have to a star in quite some time, and they're bricking over 12.5% of the cap. Wow, if I or Giddey, I'd be peeved. Giddey isn't a star yet. I'm just gonna be frank on that. Giddey isn't Josh Giddey's no closer to being a star than Kobe White yet. Now they both have potential. Josh Giddey absolutely has potential to be a star, but he's not close to that yet. Now, hopefully, he shows that in the season. I definitely hope that he shows that in the season. Self-sabotage at this point. Yeah, hey, it is what it is. Move Peppermint Patty, taking up a bench space. That's crazy. Ain't nobody taking him. Nobody's taking people. I get why people say that. I completely understand it. Nobody's taking him. I'm just happy the Bulls finally negotiating. I mean, listen, they wanted to see that. That's for sure. We saw two types of Giddeys last year. With the Bulls' luck, we pay him what we want, and he will not see the post-All-Star Giddey anymore. Well, I think you got to put that in the framework. A, Giddey started off the season coming back from injury. B, Josh Giddey was when they were playing still with Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic. Because people forget Vucevic was the Bulls' best player for the first 3 months of the season, and you still had Zach LaVine on. It just wasn't really space for Josh Giddey to cook like he did in post-All-Star. But I see what you're saying in that one. The dumbass Bulls should have had this energy towards P-Will last year. You're not wrong, Lamonte. You're not wrong at all. And that's the Bulls are always a year too late on everything. It's just that's just who this front office is. I mean, at this point, are y'all surprised by it? I'm not surprised by it. This dumbass Bulls should have. Oh yeah, we already read that one. Should have had the energy with P-Will. If Giddey takes the qualifier, what are your thoughts on that? Oh, if he takes the qualifier and it's GG's, he's not coming back. He's not coming back. If he takes the qualifying offer, he's not coming back. But I will say this, and I've said this about everybody. There's more ways that Josh Giddey can hurt himself by taking the qualifying offer than help himself. Meaning that he can absolutely help himself, but if you get an injury, if the Bulls phase you out of the offense, if you do have a struggle season, any of that, your market is tanked. Because keep in mind, his market was tanked before he signed before the Bulls traded for him. So there's that risk, and I'm sure that's why taking the qualifying offer is the nuclear option. That's literally the last resort. Because as a player, you put yourself into such a standpoint that there's so many things that can hurt you more than help you if you take that qualifying offer. How long can this drag out for? Restricted free agents have till October 1st to take the qualifying offer. So this literally can go through the start of training camp. It could go into. If he takes a qualifying offer, I wouldn't mind that. And then we try again. But AK just who he is, one step too late and one step too slow. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I respect the stance on contract talks, but only if they're being fair to Giddey and actually going to use the money to save to help Giddey. And I said that before. If you're going to go to the negotiating table and want a player to take less, you have to have a plan, right? You have to be going to the table and saying, listen, we can't offer you what you want. And here's why. Because we have to keep Kobe. We want to keep Io. We want to add X player in free agency. We want to do this. But I doubt that AK is that savvy of a communicator to where he can get that done. I don't see it happening. No, he has shown too much. No, that's stupid. Like all your comments are just dumb. Like every comment that you left today has proven that No Child Left Behind actually has left several children behind, and mainly you. Like mainly you, on top of your mama not being able to have well enough health to give you breast milk to help your brain develop, you're also stupid and school didn't help you. You're an idiot. And now we are all worse off for having to read your dumbass comments here for the last 10 minutes. You are a blight on earth. Go out, find something better to do with your life, and come back and try to be better next time. What I missed qualifying offer, never mind. Josh Giddey better get a contract soon. Now I see why Ben Simmons said this team is bleak within the. I mean, hey, I can't blame your statements on that one. If we don't pay Giddey, we have to get Grimes, and then I'm good with you. You're not gonna. Yeah, that's probably not gonna happen. If you're not willing to offer Josh Giddey $30 million, you're not gonna offer that for Quentin Grimes. You're just not. So, there you go on that one. Seaway in the building. We haven't seen Seaway in so long. What's going on, Seaway? Glad to have you in the building. Bulls won't win another chip until their 66th season. To their 60, we're already at well over that. We're almost coming up on 100 seasons. What are you talking about? Matter of fact, I think we're coming up on our 120th anniversary, something like that. I can't even remember at this point. But all right, y'all, gonna get ready to wrap it up. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate. No, you're right. It is 66. I'm thinking Bears. That's my fault. That's my bad. I tripped on that one. That's my bad. Making sure you guys are following us at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.